So, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday morning yoga on this lovely January day. It's nice and bright and sunny. Might be cold outside, but it's nice and warm inside. We'll get started right away. So, roll out your mat if you haven't done so already. Grab any props that you need to be comfortable. So, rolled blanket, throw pillow. If you have blocks, those are great. You might also want to grab a strap if you have that. Lay down on your mat, spread out, and get comfortable. So you could be lying flat on your back. And if that's feeling a little touchy, you could just slightly lift your hips off the mat, settle them back down. See if that gives your lower back a little more room. If that's still not working for you, I want you to plant your feet on the mat. So bend your knees, plant your feet a little wider than hip width. And then allow your knees to relax in toward each other. So you're making like a tent shape. You're making a triangle. Oh, we have someone coming in. You should be allowed. Okay.
Hi.
So there's Cheryl. All right, we're getting started, Cheryl. We're just getting comfy on our mats, okay? So once you've found a comfortable position on your mat, you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. I want you to take 3 huge breaths. So breathe it in, hold it for just a moment at the top, and then sigh it out. And again, hold, release. One more, make this one as big as you can. As you exhale, feel tension and effort and intention just leaving your body. Imagine with every exhale that your body is becoming softer and it has less resistance. It can sink down into the mat. You're getting warm and soft and melting. No muscle tone needed, no effort needed. Just focus in on your breath for a few more breaths. Notice its pace. Notice the depth. If your breath is shallow, maybe you want to try and deepen it a little. If your breath is feeling rushed or you sense that your heart rate is a little faster than you'd like it to be, try and slow the breath down. Nice slow breaths. Maybe you can actually feel your heart rate slowing down. And then take a moment and check in with your body. Notice areas of your body that are feeling good and soft and relaxed. And also being aware of areas where you might be holding in a little tension, feeling a little conservative or cautious. Not judging, just noticing. That's all you need to do is just notice. I'll invite you to set an intention for your practice today. It could be a one-word concept, or it could be a phrase, a mantra for your practice. Maybe you want to bring something to yourself. Maybe you want to cultivate something for yourself, or perhaps you want to cultivate something for the world in general. It could be a concept like peace or love or strength. Totally up to you. But once you come up with the concept or mantra for your practice, I want you to repeat it to yourself 3 times silently. And once you set your intention for practice, then we can add in the practice breath. So inhale through the nose to the count of 4. Pause for a moment. Exhale through the nose to the count of 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Find a rhythm that works for your breath. Could be slightly faster or slower than the pace that I've suggested. That is perfectly fine. Tune into the pace of your body. Just spend a few more moments cultivating that breath. Sometimes I like to visualize it in my head as the waves at the edge of the beach. They come in, the water rolls up the sand, seems to pause for just a moment, and then the water rolls back down the sand and out again. It's just a nice back and forth, proceeding, receding, inhale, exhale. Once you've cultivated your practice breath, you can begin to take small movements. So you might like to take a big stretch overhead. Perhaps you want to wiggle fingers and toes. Whatever feels comfortable in your body. And once you've done a little bit of stretching, bring yourself up to sit comfortably on your mat. So that could be cross-legged, or that could be sitting with your legs outstretched. So coming up to sit, as always, first thing you want to think when you come up to sit is sitting up as tall as you can. So your tailbone is connecting to the ground and your spine is being pulled long. And it's like there's a string on the top of your head and someone's pulling it straight up. You're making space between the vertebra. Once you're sitting up nice and tall, duck your chin out and then slowly down to your chest. Bring the head back up to center, and then find the range of movement that you have to look up. It might be more forward than up. Just find where that limitation is. Don't push past comfort. Bring the head back through center and bring the chin down one more time. Inhale, slowly bring the head up and bring the gaze up or at least out. I want you to take your right hand and reach up and over your head. So you're placing your right palm on your left ear, or at least the fingers. And using the weight of your right arm, I want you to just pull your head over to the right. Not pull, just use the weight of your hand to encourage your head over to the right. So you're getting really long through the left side of your neck. Maybe feeling a gentle stretch through the left of the neck. And you can release that side, and then we'll bring the left arm up and over onto the right ear. Allow the weight of the hand and arm to tilt the head over to the left. Let the right side of the neck get really nice and long. If you're finding that you're not getting the stretch you want, focus on pulling your shoulder blade down away from your ear. And then you can bring your head back to center. Again, lower the chin to the chest. Slowly take circles with the head and neck, whichever direction you prefer first. Go nice and slow. Pausing anywhere where you feel like you need to just stop and work it out. Maybe you've got a touchy spot. I know I've definitely got some touchy spots. And then when it's feeling right, reverse the direction. And you can bring the head back to center and bring it upright. We're going to bring our arms out into a T. I want you to bring the right arm underneath the left, and you could continue to bring the hands onto the shoulders, or if you prefer, you could wrap your arms, continue wrapping for eagle arms, bringing the palms together. In either case, push those elbows up and duck your head forward and down. Really round in your upper spine, so push back between your shoulder blades. And we can release, open the arms into a T, and then we'll go the other way. So left arm comes under right, continue wrapping for eagle arms, or bring the hands to shoulders, push the elbows up, duck the head forward and down, really round into the upper spine. Breathe into that area. And release. And bring your right hand down to the mat. We'll walk the right fingertips out to the side. Left arm arcs up and over. Keep your spine long. Try not to collapse sideways. Reaching up and out. Feeling the left side of your rib cage really open nicely. Breathe into that left side. And coming back up. This time, walk the hands out to the left, or the left hand out to the left. Reach the right arm up and over, opening the right side of the body. Again, make sure you're really pushing into the right ribs and trying to expand them. Use the breath. And coming back up to a seated position. So you can do this one from cross-legged or with your legs extended. If you have your legs extended, plant your right foot on the mat right by your left knee. You can bring your left hand to the outside of the right knee. In either position, right hand is coming behind you on the mat like it's an extension of your spine. Sitting up as tall as you can. Inhale, exhale into the twist. If you wanted, you could bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. No matter which variation of twist you're taking, make sure the head stays nice and relaxed. And the twist is coming right from the base of the spine. see if you can allow your exhales to relax you deeper into the twist. So rather than effort, you're passive and allowing the twist to happen. And exhale, release. If you're cross-legged, bring the right hand to the left knee. If your legs are outstretched, switch it up. So left foot is planted by the right knee. Right hand comes to the outside of the left knee, or you could even bring the outside of the right elbow. Again, hand is directly behind you, like it's an extension of your spine. Sitting up nice and straight. Exhale, twist to the left. Remind your head and neck not to try and lead you into the twist. Let it come from the base of your spine. Each exhale, you're melting a little bit more deeply into that twist. And release. We're going to come onto our hands and knees now. So you can bring your legs around or get into table in a way that makes sense for you. So knees will be directly below your hips. Hands will be directly below your shoulders. Unless you have touchy wrists, in that case, you could have your wrists a little further out. We're going to go into our cats and cows. So for cow, we'll lower the belly, raise the hips up, look forward with your head, and maybe you have some range to look up. But what's more important is that your neck is very long. Exhale, push up between the shoulder blades, duck the hips and head, do the cat. I actually have a cat helping me do this right now. You're helping, are you, Lucci? Inhale, drop the belly, look forward and maybe up. Exhale, moving into cat, push up between the shoulder blades, dropping the hips and head. Inhale through cow. Exhale through cat. Take 3 more rounds of cat and cow with your own breath. You could add some wiggling into it. You could take a second and look over one shoulder and then look over the other shoulder. Whatever feels right to you. No rush to get anywhere. Just enjoying feeling the spine move and become more flexible. So I'll remind everyone of the modification for downward facing dog. So if you'd like to take normal downward facing dog, you could push up onto your feet now. If you're taking the modification, set your hands a little bit further forward and you can tuck your toes under and then stretch your chest toward the ground. Your chest isn't going to come onto the ground, but you're opening your chest toward the ground. If you feel like you need a little bit more room, you can bring your hands a little bit further forward. So no matter which variation of downward facing dog you're taking, really focus on opening the chest toward the ground. The head is relaxed, head and neck are relaxed. If you're on your feet, you can pedal your legs out. Get a little hamstring action going on there. Wherever you are, find stillness for a moment. Big inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Big inhale. And then we're all going to come up to stand at the top of the mat. So make your way to standing in a way that works for you. So that could be walking your feet toward your hands or just coming up from your knees. Once you're standing, we're going to resume a forward fold position. You should have a gentle bend in your knees, and you can cradle your arms one in the other. Let your torso hang. So it's like your upper body is just a weight or a pendulum. And then you can begin swaying your upper body around. So gentle back and forth swaying motion is nice to just say hello to the hamstrings. If you like, you could get a little bit more active. You could add some bounce in there. And then bring yourself back to stillness at the center. We'll bring the shins, or sorry, our hands onto our shins. Inhale, lift your back halfway up. So you're coming into a tabletop position. Exhale, forward fold again. We're going to place the left hand on the mat below our head. I want you to inhale the right arm up and twist. You could look out to the side, keeping a gentle bend in the knees. If you really want to challenge yourself, you could see if you can peek up toward your fingertips. Not necessarily, but you could try. And then bring the right hand down. It's going to replace the left hand. So planting the right hand center forward. And then inhale the other side, so the left arm comes up. You could look toward the left side or maybe even gaze up toward your left hand. Come back through center. Again, bring your hands onto your shins. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold. And this time we're slowly going to roll all the way up to stand. So your arms can relax. And I want you to really slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Coming up incredibly slowly. When you come up to the top, make sure your neck is long. Push the shoulder blades down away from the ears. Head is looking ever so slightly up, coming to our mountain pose. Inhale, arms come up overhead and slightly forward. So it's not straight up and down. The arms are slightly forward. If you have room, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold. Keep a nice, generous bend in the knees. Slowly coming all the way down. Fingertips can come to the mat or on your shins. Come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. We'll plant our hands on the mat. Take a big step back. So both feet step to the back of the mat and then lower onto the knees and untuck the toes. So I know you can't see your body that well, but I want you to imagine that there's a long line straight from your knees to your shoulders. Tuck your bum in. So squeeze your bum in. That usually helps straighten you out into a nice plank. Inhale to begin. As you exhale, squeeze your elbows in toward your body to help you lower, slow. Lowering as slowly as we can, all the way down. Forehead comes down to the mat. Hands remain onto the shoulders. Inhale, you're going to lift chest, neck, and head for cobra. Exhale, head comes back down to the mat. Inhale again, coming up, lifting for cobra. Exhale, head comes down to the mat. Last cobra. This time you could come up onto your fingertips if you want, or hover your hands off the mat. Inhale, rise up for cobra. Exhale, leave it down. Forehead comes down to the mat. We're going to bring our hands down by our hips. So the backs of your hands are on the mat, down by your hips. You can zip your legs together. So have your toes meet. Inhale, we're going to come back up into that cobra. Exhale, I want you to lift the hands and legs. So we're coming into full locust here, and you should feel like Superman when he's flying through the air. Everything's lifting straight from the lower back. Breathe, hold it for one more breath. Exhale, everything can lower. You can bring your hands underneath your forehead. Bend your knees so your feet come up, and gently windshield wiper your legs back and forth just to release that lower back work. And legs can relax down again. We'll bring our hands under our shoulders again. Toes can tuck under. Your choice. You can do the downward dog on your feet or as modification. So no matter what, come up to your knees and then choose your modification. Either way, opening your chest toward the ground. Use the opportunity to take a few really deep breaths. You can even sigh them out. One more breath. And then slowly make your way to the top of the mat on your feet in a way that makes sense to you, and roll up to stand. We'll come back to our mountain pose. So chest is broad, shoulders are down away from the ears. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, part your arms, and I want you to sit down in an invisible chair. So make sure that when you sit, you've got your tailbone tucked under. If the arms up is hard on your shoulders, bring your hands onto your shoulders. Focus on getting those thighs toward parallel. So you're really sitting in that chair. Big work here, so breathe deep. One more big breath. Exhale, forward fold. Your legs can relax. If you like, you could just pedal the legs out a little bit. That was a big strengthening exercise. And then we're going to come into it again. So while you're folded, bring your bum down, sitting in that chair. Raise the torso up. You could bring the arms up, or the hands can come on the shoulders. Just make sure your tailbone is tucked down and under. You don't want your bum sticking out. You've got it tucked under, coming back into that chair. One more breath. Exhale, forward fold. Coming down to the mat again. You could alternate stretching one leg and then the other. And then slowly rolling up to stand. So we're going to come into warrior one. Cat, you're going to want to move. Going into warrior one. So we'll start with our hands on our hips, nice and tall. You're going to step your right foot back toward the back of the mat. That right foot is going to be on a 45-degree angle. The left toes are pointing straight forward, and you're going to square your hips to the front of the mat. If you need to move so that there's a little more room between those feet so that they're really on two separate tracks. We'll raise our arms up and then lunge into the front leg. If you feel like your knee is coming out over your ankle, sneak the front leg forward a little bit. So arms are up, lunging forward. Keep those hips square to the front of your mat. Lunge a little forward or a little lower. Good. Hands can come to your hips. You can come up a little bit in that right leg. And then we're going to adjust our stance. So both sets of toes are going to be pointing forward. So we're just adjusting, but still your feet are on two separate tracks, like you're cross-country skiing. We're going to bring our hands to our hips again, standing up nice and tall. Exhale, we're going to fold forward. Try and keep a straight left leg, coming into a hamstring stretch here. So see if you can keep that left leg straight. If you need to have a little gentle bend in it, that's fine. Hands could come down onto the left shin, or you could even bring the hands down onto the floor. So I know that I'm feeling stretch right through the back of my left hamstring. If I'm happy here, I'll stay here. If I'm a sensation junkie, which I am, you could push into your right toes and push up onto the ball of your right foot just to get a little more stretch. Not necessary, but that's an option. Breathing into this nice big stretch. And then you can relax the bend back into your left leg again. Slowly roll up to stand. Hands come to hips, and we'll come back to the front of the mat, and we'll take our position on the other side. So this time, left foot steps back. The left foot's going to be on a 45-degree angle. The right toes are pointing directly forward. My right ankle is well ahead of my right knee. I'm going to turn and square my hips to the front of the mat. Arms come up overhead. Lunge into the right leg, coming into my warrior one. So you can get a nice deep lunge going on there. Breathe into it. Keep those hips squaring forward. One more breath. Good. You can bring your hands down to your hips. Straighten out the right leg. We're going to adjust the back leg. So the left foot, the toes are going to come directly forward. So both sets of toes are pointing directly forward, like you're cross-country skiing. They're on two separate tracks. Hands can come to your hips. Inhale and get tall. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Leave a little bend in the left leg, unless you're a sensation junkie like me that really wants that leg straightened out. Your hands can come onto your shin or even down onto the floor. If you're happy here, stay exactly as you are. If you'd like to try a little more, push into the left foot and come up onto the left ball of the foot. Just come a little deeper into that stretch, but not necessary. And then release, and we'll slowly roll back up to stand. Bring our hands to our hips and coming to center. I'll ask you to turn sideways on your mat. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So just from standing, you can bring your hands to your hips and then step your feet outward. Find a stance that works for you. Make sure that your feet are nice and connected to the ground. You're actually pushing down on the outsides of your feet because you definitely don't want your feet to slip out. Once you find that stance, bring your hands to your hips. Think about getting tall through the abdomen. Exhale, hinge the hips, slowly coming forward. Leave a gentle bend in the knees, coming down. If you could bring your hands onto your calves, or if you have a block, you might want to have a block to come down onto, or you just bring fingertips down to the ground. Coming into this nice forward fold stretch. If you feel like you've got all you want right here, just stay exactly as you are. Again, sensation junkie, you could walk your hands through your legs. You could even turn them around and attempt to pull your torso to the other side of your legs. If you've done a little bit of that and it's not feeling the way you hoped it would, just come back to hands on the mat or hands on your shins. Big hamstring stretch here. Use your breath to breathe into it. Imagine you can actually push the breath down the length of your legs. One more breath. And we'll slowly rise back up again. We're going to come to goddess. So we're going to adjust our stance slightly. So your heels are going to come in, and you might actually just want to adjust your stance so it's not quite so wide. So heels are in, toes are out on a 45-degree angle. My abdomen is engaged and I'm tall. Your arms can come straight out to the side. Bend them at the elbow and have your palms face your head. Inhale to get tall. Exhale, you're going to sink your bum down like you're sitting in a chair again. If you wanted, you could bring your hands down toward the mat. And then inhale, we're going to rise up. Hands come up overhead. They can even touch. Exhale, calm down. Maybe sweep the arms down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, sink down. 3 more times. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, sink down. See how far you can sink down. Inhale, rise up. Make sure your torso is staying really tall and that you're not bending over when you come down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale, coming down. Grand plie, as they would say in ballet. And coming back up. We'll bring our hands to our hips, and you can shimmy your feet inward. We're going to come to our balancing portion of our practice now. So if you know that you'd like to go to a wall or a piece of furniture, you can head there now. We'll set up with our feet narrow hip width apart. Abdomen is engaged and bum is already squeezing in. Hands can come to your hips. Your gaze, use this. This is actually a power. So I want you to rest your eyes on an object. Could be a spot on the ground, a house plant, whatever. Rest your eyes on something that is not moving. Bring your hands to your hips. Transfer your weight onto your right foot. Come onto the left toes. When you're ready, bringing the free leg up, find a place to plant it. So it could be on the shin, could be on the ankle, could leave toes down. Find a place that works for you. Make sure that bum is squeezing in and the abdomen is engaged. You could bring your hands to heart center. And then maybe you feel like growing a tree this week and discovering what kind of tree it is. Don't worry if it sways in the breeze or if you fall out. Just pick up where you left off and get back up again. If your arms are up, you can bring them back through heart center. Slowly down to the hips. Inhale the free leg up and hold it for just a moment. And then gently with control, set it back down. You can shift your weight onto the left foot, get the circulation going in that right foot again. So again, setting up, making sure our gaze is fixed on a non-moving point. Transfer the weight over the left foot. Come onto the right toes. Inhale the leg up. Exhale, plant it. Could be on the shin, ankle, or toes down. Make sure you're squeezing that bum in. Hands come to heart center. And maybe you feel like exploring, growing your tree on this side. Again, if you're shaking or swaying, falling out, that's fine. Just go with it. Just come back in. If your arms are up, you can bring your hands through heart center. Slowly bring them down to the hips. Inhale the free leg up. Exhale it down with control. Good work. Shake out that standing leg. We're going to prepare to come into our squat. So if you know that you want to place a block for you to come down onto, that's fine. Or maybe you just want to come down onto the mat ahead of time. Absolutely. Bring yourself down to the mat, and you can do this from seated. Either works. If you're coming from standing, feet are a little wider than hip width apart, toes are pointing out on a 45-degree angle, and you'll start by standing up nice and straight. Exhale, slowly come down. If you're already down, your legs are assuming the same position. So feet are planted on the floor, knees are extended outward, toes are out on a 45-degree angle. You can, in either case, bring the outsides of your upper arms to the insides of your knees. If you're coming from standing, you might just want to wiggle around a little bit. Bring your hands to heart center to encourage those knees to open. Getting into the hips here, right here, inner hip flexors, big stretch. But if there's one yoga position that you're going to practice regularly, make it this one. So good for the hips. Even if you're just sitting and your feet aren't that wide out, doesn't matter. You could be using your hands for support and just gently encouraging the knees outward. It is all good. Every variation of this is all good. We sit in chairs too much in the West. We should do more squatting like they do in other parts of the world. Tune in for 3 more deep breaths. And if you have a block under you, remove that. Everybody come down onto the mat to meet up. All right, we are going to come into pigeon. So if you know you'd like a strap to help you out with this, you can grab that now. We will plant our feet on the mat, grab onto your knees for a second and sit up nice and tall. Release your knees, arms are stretched out in front of you, and as slowly as you can, I want you to lower down onto your back. So really slow. Try and engage the core muscles. And once you come down on your back, your head can be looking straight up at the ceiling. Feet are planted so that your feet are just behind your bum. Knees are pointed straight up toward the ceiling. We're going to cross the right leg over the left. So the right knee comes out to the side and the right ankle crosses over at the left knee. So it's like you're making a figure 4 with your legs. If this is already feeling like a lot of hip opening here, you could stay exactly as you are. You could use your right hand to gently provide encouragement for that right hip to open. If you'd like to play with coming in a little deeper, you could hug your left thigh toward your torso. You can intertwine your fingers around the back of that left thigh, or you could use a strap. Draw the left thigh toward your torso. The important part, make sure your right toes are peeling actively back toward your right knee. So that foot is really, really flexed as much as you can. Find a position that works for you, and then try and settle into stillness and just sit with sensation. You can relax the lower part of your left leg because it doesn't really have anything to do here. So encouraging that right knee gently outward, keeping the right foot flexed to protect the knee. Take a moment to tune into your breath and notice its cadence. Notice its depth. Maybe you can even tune into your heartbeat here. Try and slow it down. One more breath. If you were hugging your thigh in, release it down and then uncross your right leg. Plant that right foot on the mat. Gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Just release that big stretch. And then we'll set up for the other side. So right foot is planted, left ankle crosses over at the right knee. The left knee is pushing out to the side. Left foot is very flexed. Toes are actively peeling back toward the left knee. If this is feeling good, stay exactly as you are. Could provide some encouragement outward for that knee with your left hand. You could take a hold around the back of the right thigh and squeeze that right thigh in, just really making sure that you're keeping the left foot flexed to protect your left knee. The bottom half of your right leg can just relax. Again, find your way into a sensation that you can sit with. You can just observe the sensation, not judging it. Again, noticing the breath, drawing it out long, slowing the heart rate down. Stay for 3 more breaths. The end of your third exhale, release your hands if they're around the right thigh. Uncross the leg. Again, gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Leave your feet planted where they are on the mat. And bring your hands down by your hips. So your palms are pressing down into the mat. We're going to do a variation on bridge today that's a dynamic bridge. So it's going to incorporate movement. So head looking straight up at the ceiling. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips skyward. On an inhale, lower your hips halfway down. Exhale, push the hips skyward. Exhale, come halfway down. Inhale, push the hips up. Exhale, bring the hips down. See if you can just bring them to hover off the mat. Inhale, push those hips up. One more time. Hold it for a breath. And exhale, you can bring the hips down to the mat. Bring our arms out into a T position. Cross your right leg over your left leg with no gap between the thighs. Ever so gently, pick your hips up off the mat and just slightly move them over to the right. And then your legs can relax over to the left. If you would like some support for this twist, you could pop a block or a pillow right next to your left hip and then allow your legs to relax over onto that. The closer that support is to your left hip, the more your legs will be able to just relax. If you wanted to play around with going a little deeper into the twist, you could turn your head to look over your right shoulder toward the right, but it's not strictly necessary. It's just an option. If your head is anywhere but center, bring it back upright and gently bring your legs back upright. So if you want, use your hands to help with that. Uncross the legs and then cross them. Actually, just bring your hips square center again and then cross your left leg over your right leg. No gap between the thighs. If you know you want a prop for support, move that prop over right by your right hip now. So arms out into a T, hips come ever so slightly to the left, and then sink your knees over to the right. Allow yourself to relax into the twist. Again, if you wanted, you could go ahead and look over your left shoulder, but it's not strictly necessary. Just a variation. 2 more breaths. And you can bring your head back upright again. Slowly bring the knees back upright. Uncross the legs. Square your hips to center again. And then I'll invite you now to take any movement that you would like. So maybe you just take a big stretch overhead and get long. Maybe you'd like to hug your knees in toward your torso, pulling the right knee to the right armpit, left knee toward the left armpit. Maybe you'd like to reach between your knees, take a hold of the outsides of your feet, And bring your feet up toward the ceiling for happy baby. You could roll around on your back. Give yourself a little back massage. Or maybe you just want to reach for some water, some socks, a blanket, a pillow for under your knees, whatever you need to feel comfortable. So I'm going to grab my pillow and I'm going to put it under my knees so that I have a little support for my lower back as I come into Shavasana. You could ever so slightly pick your hips up off the mat and then just wiggle them back down, making sure you have lots of room for the lower back. Hands could rest at your side, or you could bring one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly. Face can relax. Separate the biting surfaces of your teeth. Allow your eyes to close. Take a few deep breaths. Sigh them out. With each sigh, let go of effort and expectation. There's nothing left to accomplish here. Just allow yourself to be here, absorbing the benefits of your practice. You can let your practice breath go and just allow yourself to slip away for a few more minutes. I'll invite you to stay exactly where you are, lying on your back. The next part of our practice is completely optional. You do not need to follow along, but I thought I would spend a little bit of time on pranayama, which is breath exercise. So we did box breath a couple of weeks ago, and I'd like to revisit that. So if you remember, box breath is inhale for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4, exhale for the count of 4, hold for the count of 4. So you can visualize it going around like a box. To help you set a rhythm, I've got an audio, I don't even know what I want to call it, percussion to help with. So I will set that. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it well enough. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. You can release your box breath. Take a really deep breath. Exhale, let it go. When you're feeling ready, you could begin to stretch, wiggle fingers, and gently bring yourself back up to a seated position. Once you're up, you can Bring your hands to heart center and lower your chin to your chest. And since yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I have chosen a quote from him. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Thank you for joining me for practice today. Namaste.